Bannon insists that Trump is going to be running for a third term, even though it is a direct violation of the Constitution. You've got to hear this.
Well, a man like this comes along once every century if we're lucky. We've got him now. He's on fire, and I'm a huge supporter. Want to see him again in 2028.
You know he's term limited. How do you think he gets another term?
We're working on it. I think we'll have a couple of alternatives. Let's say that. We'll see. We'll see what the definition. We'll see what the definition of term. We'll see what the definition of term limit is.
There's so much power behind the scenes. Right now, these guys are trying to figure out a way to skirt around the Constitution. We'll see what the definition of term is or something like that.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what the definition of term limit is.
These people do not learn their lesson. So this, crazily enough, would not be the first time that we had somebody serve 3 terms. It has happened before, which is why we put in the amendment, because we realized, oh, they're just going to keep running. It was always sort of a gentleman's understanding that nobody would run for more than 2 terms. Once they did it, then they realized we have to enshrine this. We did enshrine it. Play the Bill Maher clip, because this is exactly how I feel.
The Constitution. Can I read a passage to you?
Here we go.
Amendment 22. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And yet you keep talking about Trump's... Maybe you should have this. Here,
President Trump is going to run for a third term, and President Trump is going to be elected again on the afternoon of January 20th of 2029. He's going to be president of the United States.
Okay, but the thing I just read in there, it seemed like there was no wriggle room there. It seemed like it was just, 8 or 10 words that said only 2 times.
We have a team of people that are working. A team.
How can a team do something about that? What? I don't care if the team is 12 trillion people. The words are still the words.
Bill, every day in federal courts, right now in federal courts, there's 120 lawsuits on what President Trump's doing for his Article 2 rights.
This is wild. This is
on
all
the
true.
unified executive theory. But he's chief executive, he's commander-in-chief, and he's chief magistrate and chief law enforcement officer. There's 100, and they're running to court every day to sue President Trump, all because the interpretation of this. The interpretation of this is open for interpretation.
How could it be open? Could I have it back?
If they're able to get a constitutional amendment passed, cool. I stand by. Obviously, there is a way to amend the Constitution. We want there to be a way to amend the Constitution. But there are things that are interpreted by the court where it's like, okay, admittedly, like this one's maybe not as clear as we want, like take the Second Amendment, for instance, for a well-armed militia or whatever. There's a lot to talk about with that. This one is pretty clear. So this feels like people are trying to skirt it. I don't think people are being honest about why we have term limits. The whole structure of the U.S. government was to stop power from accruing too much. That power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if you let a monarch happen, over time, that power just solidifies. This is why I think deep state is the right word. I think that it is problematic that we let the power accumulate in all of those ancillary positions, and we're not being honest about what causes that problem. And then you get a despot, or you certainly run the risk. Everybody wants a benevolent dictator, and very rarely do we get one. And just because the first king is benevolent doesn't mean that the next king is going to be benevolent. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a Putin situation or a Xi situation. I think it is an absolute fucking disaster. I will make a lot of noise on this podcast if this man starts running for a third term. That is a terrible idea. The reason the American experiment works is we understood, these guys can and will break bad.
Hypothetically speaking, walk me down a path. If they did somehow get the Constitution amended, and then he does run, is this now like, because what I don't want to happen is we then ban Constitution amendments. So I feel like I'm kind of stuck in the middle, because it's like I don't want him to run, but I also don't want to say the Constitution should never change ever, and it should be the one.
No, of course.
You know what I mean?
If the people really want to see all presidents, abstract it from the one you like. If they want to see all presidents be able to keep running and keep being elected, then as much as I will go on an absolute tear to try to convince them not to do this, this is a bad idea. If that's what America wants, I'm not arrogant enough to think that I should be the one that's making this policy. So if we can get a supermajority, which I will say the odds of are exactly 0 on this issue, because there is no way the Democrats are going to want to see, while Trump is in office, unless he is like so unbelievably unpopular at the end of his term that they think, all right, let's do it now so that we can get our guy in office and run forever, which I don't think they would do until their guy's elected. But anyway, I cannot fathom a world in which we can agree and get a supermajority. So I feel very protected by the structure of the Constitution and our government that this one won't get passed. That's why I'm like, if Steve Bannon is trying to do something via the court, I like double hate this idea because one, no matter how much I love the president, I do not want to see them running for a third term. No matter how many good things they're delivering to the American people, I distrust the nature of governments. Amen. And so seeing them solidify power, I know how quickly good can turn bad, because here's what will happen. They get the economy going, it's going in a good place, and then things turn. And now they're making a string of bad decisions. They're going to believe in their soul, but I'm the guy that got you all of this. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to be able to get you back. You got to give me time, bro. Like, what the fuck? Think about this happening in the UK. Winston Churchill gets you through World War II. He's the only reason that British people are not speaking German. What do at the end of the war? They boot him out of government. They wanted somebody else, not wartime anymore. You were great at the war, thank you so much, but we're moving past it. It is a bad idea for the simple fact that humans become convinced that they are right. People become tyrannical as power consolidates, even if they don't mean to be. Because they think they're right, they're going to keep pushing for it. And unfortunately, we really do have a propensity to just re-elect the same person we had before. And so momentum carries you to a certain degree. It's a bad idea. Bad idea.
Chat's pointing out the irony of Trump promising term limits for Congress and then going on this.
Dude, this is, everybody burn this into your soul. This is what humans do. This is how you get the rules for thee and not for me. People are inside their own head. They really believe that they're right. They don't want limitations on themselves. They only want limitations on others. It is an absolutely wild way to walk through the world to me, because it is so obvious that any one human can be so wrong that if you don't have checks and balances, that you could get into a string of doing wrong things is just really, really terrifying. And I'm saying that as a CEO I'm the emperor of impact theory. I can't be fired. But what I remind myself of is anybody who quits has literally just fired me. They've said, vote of no confidence, I'm out. And so I sit with that and I go, okay, cool. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to change what I'm doing. I may think that they're wrong. I may think, cool, I totally get it. Let's part ways. You go do your thing. There's a whole lot of reasons why somebody might leave. But I do sit in the moment of, they have said I'm not the best thing for their life at a minimum. Now, sometimes they have reasons where I'm like, okay, I can't offer you that thing that you think is better for your life anyway, whatever. But it's good to sit with it's possible that they see this well and I see this poorly. If you open that lane of humility, I have found that you're far more likely to suddenly step outside of your frame of reference, see something you were blind to, and now stop making a mistake that you were making before. I really don't trust politicians to do that. You can't trust the average person on the street to do that. And the kind of person that is so confident in themselves that they can push hard enough to be president. If you want to be president of the US, you're basically saying, I want to run the world. That's wild. That's wild. That's so arrogant.
Speaking as a CEO, Devin Perkins said, the government is just a huge business. Why can't the best CEO stay in power?
Because they'll kill their own people. So what people seem to forget is that you can leave a company. When the right despot gets in control, you literally can't leave the country. Please read history. You just need to read 3 books. The Gulag Archipelago, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, and Mao, The Untold Story. Read those 3 and then report back on whether you think that there should be term limits. In the 20th century alone, over 200 million people were killed by their own government. Not like Russia's invading Ukraine and a bunch of people die. It's like Mao starved 45 million people to death. That's how a government. And by the way, that's not the only way you kill people. Actually imagine, you with me? Close your eyes at home if you need to. But I actually want you to imagine this. Trump goes on after winning his 3rd term and he says, dear middle schoolers, your teachers have gotten out of pocket. And I've really tried to shut down the teachers' unions, and I can't. So I'm telling you right now, I will pardon every single one of you if you beat your teachers to death. And I want you to do it at a school assembly. And I'm telling you right now, I will pardon you. And then those kids go and they get their teachers and they dragged them in front of everybody, and they actually beat them to death. That happened in the fucking 60s and 70s. That's why you want term limits. So everybody thinks they know best. By the way, Mao united China. So you can understand why he would think, well, I'm the shit. I'm the guy. Bro, I only had to kill 45 million people to do it. Like, what the problem is? What? That was not a made-up story. That's what Mao actually did. You had like 12 and 13-year-olds beat their teachers to death